In fact, why don't we do like an official type of start for this class, for the recording. This is true for all of my classes, by the way, for anything that we do online. Some people have responded to me saying they don't like to appear on camera. That's fine. These classes are for you, so you're welcome to participate. And for those in the know, you can just view on YouTube later on. So let's actually start. Allow your feet to touch and bring your head top up to the highest point. We have new people joining. So for new people joining, get yourself situated. What I was just saying a second ago is there's no need to run your camera. You can if you like. It's not a requirement. So if you just like to watch the video, hear the audio, that's fine. So let's begin. Allow your feet to touch and bring your head top up to the highest point. Relax your shoulders, sit your tailbone, breathing deep. Bring your hands together in the center, and then let your shoulders, elbows, wrists, and the finger joints relax. Connect the tongue to the upper palate and lift the pelvic floor all the way from the front to the back at the base, pulling that up, and then activate your toes. And then from here, calibrate. Pull the head top just a little bit higher with the chin tucked. Relax your brow. Open your vision. Open the sinuses. Open your nostrils sideways. Activate at least a half smile. Unclench your jaw. Pull your ears back up over your shoulders, but still keeping the chin tucked. Roll your shoulders back. Relax. Empty the chest. Use the center to support. Feel that the lower back is sinking, like the energy is going down to the ground. This will feel, sometimes I say, tucking the tailbone. Your knees are relaxed. You can forget about them. Bolster the ankles. Strengthen your ankles. Activate the full shape of your foot. Pull your heel forward just a little bit. When you activate your toes, you can, as if you're pulling in on a carpet, something is on the ground and you like to. And then keep the same shape, but allow everything to relax. Take a deep breath. Where do we look when we practice? We've talked about a bunch of things in the body. When you're looking at the screen, when you're in a class, you're looking at other student, how they're going, you're looking at the teacher, presentation. But when you practice, when you go to the park, you can just look right to the horizon. So always keeping a level balanced. If we have our vision too high, if we look up in the sky, then there's somewhere for our vision to come down to. TC, one time in talking about his views of other people, he said, if I have to look up at somebody, that means I have to look down on somebody else. So he said, it's best to keep a level view, a balanced view of everybody. So imagine your hands are on a track, as if the wrist is the driver and the hand is following, fingertips up, and at the top they relax and change, and here the wrist is leading. And so breathing, you can sink your tailbone as the hands come up, and then allow the hands, the fingertips, and the joints to overlap, and then gravity is pulling, as if your fingertips are made of silk, as if they're made of something even lighter than silk, a thin leaf or blade of grass, very long, moves very easily in the wind. You can imagine something even more fluid, a piece of seaweed. So allow your fingertips to carry the data from the shoulders, the elbows, the wrists, the big knuckles, all the way down to the small knuckles. So kind of like the first movement in Tai Chi, when we start, we have the, in this particular style, we open shoulder width wide, and then the hands coming up, the tailbone sinking, but this is the spine straightening. This is called Tai Chi, Chi Shi, the preparation stance, the start of Tai Chi, the beginning. So just practicing this movement. If you like to know martial arts application for this, is very simply just like this. Somebody is coming in, their hands are forward. Here, we can just bring the hands up, and today we're going to talk about, I want to talk about Fa-jing, and we're going to use cloud hands as an idea. But the most basic thing, when somebody tries to give you something you don't like, is to get rid of it. You want to just move it. So here, if our hands are at our side, this type of movement will very easily, if there's something here and we like to move it away, we can do that without any effort. You can use the backs of your forearms and you can use the back of your hand, right? And because the fingers are relaxed, they're not going to get stubbed on something, and they can recoil for power to come back out in a different way. Let's actually stretch a little bit before we do Tai Chi. So start from the head top, and try to practice all of this stretching holistically. So as if the energy is going through all parts of your body. As humans, thinking humans, we like to subdivide things. My arm, my forearm, my wrist and hand. But when you do your head turns, remember, safety first. If you've been sitting behind a desk all week, staring at a monitor, sitting in an airline seat in your car, you need to take your time and start to move slowly, especially for people on the West Coast just waking up. And find the stretch that's comfortable. And then you can expand that to be more. Going back to the other idea, use your whole body. So push through your toes to stretch your head top up. Expand your shoulders outwards just while you're standing. Relax your tailbone to sink down. Stretch your whole body. Just the top is turning. If you haven't changed directions, go the other way. And this is your stretch. So when you feel that one corner, that one side is really tight, you can stop and sort of roll it along that side, along that path. And then come back to the center. Realign your spine. Push all the way up through the head top. Sink the tailbone. And then do some shoulder rolls. And instead of just thinking, again, about the segment of the break between where your rib cage is connected by the collarbone and the shoulder blade and the muscles and tendons for the shoulders, imagine your whole body as if it's just made of one substance. You can make it of food if you like. Cheese is a pretty basic substance that's continuous all the way throughout. Jello is the same way. Anything that you like to make, you can think of a sponge. So when you're gripping your feet and pulling your head top up, just this one part, you can imagine anything flexible if your body's made entirely of rubber. We want to have the whole thing expanded and then just turning around this. So if you move from the center, you can open the ribs, and when you pull down, you can compress the ribs. So remember to breathe. Did we change directions? Yeah, change directions, go the other way. So turning forward, same thing. Use the whole body to move. We're just turning the one part. So everything is expanded. Use your breathing to fully inflate the sponge, and then just turn around those points. And then alternating, same thing. Try to keep your spinal alignment and pulling one side way up and you can think of pushing down on the other. And then change directions. And the same thing, if you imagine your body is all one piece of rubber, very soft and flexible, you can be expanding. And when you pull this up, you can pull the whole side of your body up. Come back to the center. Take a deep breath. Next, we're going to turn around the center. So make your feet parallel and lock everything from your feet to your knees so that your knees are stable. And then we're going to turn. Be careful if you have limited space. And so here, again, forget about your body. Imagine it's a mechanism. Imagine your spine running, keep working, keep turning, like a post from the center that goes out through the top. And we want that axle to be as straight as possible. And so the yin-yang, if that's very, very straight and stable, the hands and the arms are the yin variation of that. They're moving, they're very relaxed, they're very loose. Check to see that you have let the half smile minimum not turn into a more serious expression. And then when you come back to the center, relax. Let's do a couple more variations. I think last week we did 3 of these. Let's see if we can do the 4th one. So that's the first one. The next one is very similar. Just reach up and pat yourself over the back. By the way, you can make this, I don't know if you can hear through my mic. I tend to be forceful when I'm doing this, but you can allow this to be very, very soft. One of the key purposes of this is to turn the torso and to allow the arms to pull weight across this section and allow all of this to open using centrifugal force going out. So in this particular case, be sure not to fly away. This is something happening in Tai Chi in the first section. When we do this roll up, when we do this kind of, after we split here and we press up, one of the inclinations is to press with the heel this way. But now my opponent can pull very easily. So the same thing here. When you're up over one shoulder, we're sinking. So the energy's flying up, but just like when you go fishing, you have a heavy weight at this end, and then you send it far. The same thing. We're sinking down so that the hand can fly with power. All right, we've done enough of these. What's the next one? Is wait, we're missing one. Oh no, that was 3. So we did turning around the center. We did reaching over the top this way. This one, next one, is here. So reaching around the side and reaching up over the back. And again, the same thing. You don't have to, I like to add because my shoulders and back get tight. That's one place I carry tension. But you can make it soft. And the same thing, sink into the foot. If you see me turning this leg, keep the knee and the ankle in line so that when it turns, it's lined up. Again, turning the waist and opening up the shoulders, the elbows, the wrists. That was 3 again. Let's continue. We're going to turn around the waist. So grip your feet and imagine your body as 2 halves, like one solid piece and a second solid piece. By the way, if any of the exercises that we do, we said safety first is a rule. If any of the exercises that we do causing pain It may be okay to be a little bit sore, but that's why we say start small. You don't want to jump into movement too quickly. I know some of you have daily practice, training hard, but for beginners following along, we have this. Next, grip your feet on the ground, and I gotta adjust my cabling here. Grip your feet, and then we're gonna do, this is a sort of a qigong that's coming from TC that will, like you're scooping something up and then opening, and as much as you can without losing your balance. You can use a wall or some other type of furniture to protect. If you like to bend back further, pushing your palms and your heart chakra to the sky, and then closing all of that in. Remember to breathe, and then if you like to scoop from underneath like a flower, opening and then pressing, closing. I have seen TC teach this one a number of ways. You can think of 2 circles at the top and then going down through the center, and then 2 circles at the bottom. You can think of scooping. It should be a fairly primitive movement. Go at your own pace. Do not hurt your back. Don't hurt your legs. Grip the ground. Relax your tailbone. Extend your whole body. One piece, opening. And then come back to the center. When you're sinking, push your tailbone back and away. Go at your own pace, your own breathing. Do 2 more. Make it a full body stretch and a full body expansion.
I'm going to have cereal.
When you get done, just come back to the center. Remember to breathe. Let's do some forward bending. So you can make your feet shoulder width wide, push your tailbone back and away. I'm not going to tilt my head down because I have a headset on. It's not secured. But you can try to relax your head and neck so that your crown chakra is pointing directly towards the ground, so that you can open your upper back and neck using the force of gravity. By the way, remember to grip your feet. We want to keep the energy balanced between the head and the feet so that we don't lose our balance. And when you're ready, breathing on an inhale, rooting into the ground by gripping, breathing, expand all the way up. We'll do that one more time. And this time, when you're bent forward, see if you can relax your back. Gravity will start to affect. You can feel the blood. You can feel energy moving up your spine. So when we grip the feet and we lean forward, try to really relax and see if you can feel the energy in your back moving towards your head top. Breathing it on your own. When you're ready, grip the ground, use your abs, leave the back out of the equation when standing up. Come back up to the top. And then I'll take a second to allow the energy to equalize. This is common with humans. We're a container of energy. So when you experience vertigo, or if you know someone that experiences vertigo, or if you have some type of issue with being dizzy, whether it's from amusement park, sometimes standing up off the couch too fast, or getting out of bed in a hurry. So this, when we approach change, when there's something that makes us dizzy to fall over, we can counter that by sinking the energy into the ground. Imagine a container. If you turn it and the contents go to one end, this is what happens when we go to get up off the couch and all the energy has gone up to the top. We can fix that by rooting, by sinking into the ground. Let's do some leg stretching. I want to talk about leg stretch before we do some leg stretch. One of the things I want to talk about is protecting your knees. So I'm going to do a squat, but I want you just to watch one time before we do, is my knees do not go in front of my toes. That means that I'm pushing my tailbone back and away, and you may need, your legs may not be strong enough to do this, but we want to keep at all times the knee behind the toe, because if I'm leaned forward like this, if I have to do something on the ground and my knee is forward past my toe, this is a cantilever. So squats are really, really good for you, but we should practice correctly. So you can make a fancy, like if you put your palms like this, and you can make your feet up to shoulder width wide, but you can keep them together as well. They can actually strengthen each other and help your balance. And then look down. Make sure your knees are behind the toes. Try to keep your neck straight, and then grip the ground. Stand up and relax. So you can go as wide as a horse stance, but the same thing. Keep your pelvis level. Keep your mind on your knees. And then gripping the ground, stand up. We'll do one more of those. And again, doesn't matter how wide the feet are. We want to protect the knees by keeping them. And then when you're ready, gripping, stand up. All right, so this is for all Tai Chi. If we're practicing, when you look down, you should be able to see over your foot. This is a way to protect the knees for a long time. Let's do a little more stretching and then Tai Chi. So you can use your standing leg for support. Remember to breathe. I'm extending my chin forward. But if you don't have a headset on, try to push your crown towards your toes. Change. You can change on your own. You can breathe on your own. Just be sure to stretch. Pushing my tailbone back and away. Reaching forward. And then change. We'll do one more on each side when you're ready. The rear knee can go over the toe, by the way. We'll talk about that in a minute. Try not to fry your brain while you're stretching. Just breathe. Push your chin all the way out. Or your head top. Like you're stretching your spine along with the back of your leg. And then breathing to stand. Change on your own. And then relax for a second. When you're finished on your own. The place where the knee bending stuff becomes important is later in Tai Chi when we're doing something more advanced. If we have a movement where we have snake creeps down, in this particular case, this is the knee that I'm worried about. So if I want to sink really, really low, I have to make sure that knee stays behind that toe. In fact, we can go all the way down, and for people training, the next step is to turn the foot. So you see my knee stays in line with the plane of the foot and starts to turn here. Now my inner hip is not that open, but you can see the alignment of that knee all the time. Lined up, right? That's how to protect the knees. Today I want to talk about cloud hands. So before we start, anyone have questions, thoughts, comments about anything we've done so far? We don't have to do cloud hands today if you don't like, but I want to do something very basic because I want to talk about both the basic movement of cloud hands, and for the advanced students, we're going to talk about Fa-jing and applying different Fa-jings through cloud hands. So let's start with what cloud hands is. It's a lateral movement. And if I'm facing in this direction and we practice together from the center, if I step left and put my hand out to the left side here. And then the same if I turn right, press and step. It can be this simple. Cloud hands. Put my hand up, step, like stepping sideways through a door. Step, press, step, press. The swinging doors, they have a narrow, there's two, right? The old style saloon would have these sort of vest doors that would just cover part of it. So imagine you just like to go through one of those. The whole side of your body is going through the smaller gate. So the stepping sideways, easy, very simple. What's happening with the hands? The first part is the hand is coming up to the front. And so when the hand comes up to the front, it's closed. TC used to teach this one, again, like flower or lotus. So this is the flower bulb. In the morning, when it first comes up, it's closed. And then as the day progresses, it opens to face the sky going up. It's flat. And then in the evening time, when the sun is very bright, it closes, and then sending the energy down to the roots at nighttime when pressing out. So let's try on the other side. The hand is closed, and we're going to actually turn the waist because you see this covers my face. So if I turn sideways, one of the goals for cloud hands is to keep my hand this way. I can still see it, but maybe it's difficult to see me if I put it in front of the camera. So the other side, the palm comes in front of the face. We turn the waist, the palm opens, facing forward, close, and then send out the energy. So we're going to practice this a bunch of times on both sides. For the beginners, for the experienced people, you can be working on something internal. We'll talk about some concepts in a second. So what's the other hand doing? While this is here, think of this as the flower pot. So we have the thing from which the flower can grow is here. The forearm is like the stem, and the hand is like the flower. So we turn the waist so that our face also going to the side, and then the palm turns open, closed, out. So now, plant the flower in the flower pot. Turn the palm, closing, step, and press out. How the hands transitioning, 2 half circles. Remember at the beginning, we learned grasp the sparrow's tail and ward off. So keep practicing on your own, but if you like to watch, I'm doing my hands 2 half circles to get back to the basic. And then I turn my waist, step, and press. So half circles, turning. Everything is ultimately on a circle, but just to break it down, we can say we're moving in a straight line sideways. So we have, for experienced people, we have reviewed the meaning of this. For non-experienced people, very simply, if there's something coming from my side, I need to be able to see what it is. So if I can't determine from my peripheral vision, imagine something is coming from my camera directly at me. I'm facing this way. I'm facing this direction. And something is coming. When it's coming, I can turn this way. Now I have my hand here to block, and this hand is in front of my face. And I can then sort of choose what I'm going to do next, right? How the power comes out. Let's just do the upper hand for a second. Imagine like a paintbrush. So in Chinese calligraphy, the proportion of the brush is very similar to what you find from the forearm to the hand. They use a bamboo and they use a horsehair, and it's about this length. So imagine the hand like the horsehair and the forearm is like the bamboo. If something is coming from the side, something hitting a stick, somebody's fist, an object, I can use the forearm to move that out of the way. And one idea for Tai Chi, just going back to grasp the sparrow's tail and ward off, one of the reasons we practice this movement is to practice sticking with the other person. So in a traditional style martial arts, we use this type of movement to block and perhaps even offensively defend ourselves. We're going to injure the opponent while we block this out of the way. But in Tai Chi, we're looking to protect our own equipment and possibly the opponent's. Yeah, go ahead.
Let's see. Um, hmm.
I see it's making audio, but I can't hear you.
Turn off.
Hello, hello.
Can you hear me? Brian?
Okay, hang on. How about now? Try something, say something.
Hello? Can you hear me? No.
Okay, I can't. I'm not getting audio for some reason. So, if you can just hold the question. Yeah, I'm not getting audio for some. I can see you're talking. I just changed some settings on my end. You guys can hear me though, right? Yeah. Okay. So, and by the way, this is the second class via Google Meet, and we will work out more bugs as that continues. So in this particular case, when we're turning, we're not trying to belt the thing out of the way, but instead connect with it. So as it's there, this movement is fast enough, but also controlled enough that when we meet the object, it's connected. So you can think of your arm almost like a towel or a rag. You can whip the towel or rag, and it will just wrap around the object, and doesn't hurt. Doesn't if we flip the thing flat, perhaps it will can put a cut in the material. But in this particular case, it's soft, and that allows to connect to the movement to go through. So everybody wants to know what is the power for cloud hands. So when I'm turning to step and press, what I want to talk about is using 4 different types of power. For people that are beginning or people that are new to this, we can just practice doing cloud hands left and right. You don't have to think about this complex internal work. But for the experienced people, for Aaron, for Charlotte, for people practicing sometime at home or being, this is maybe a new concept. When I do this movement, I can apply the power like Pong so that my whole body is expanding like a balloon or an explosion that's all going. So I'm pushing off of my rear foot through this foot. My back is pushing out. My head top is pushing down. So after we do grasp the sparrow's tail and ward off, we have Pong, this feeling of expansion, one movement away from the center. So that's one application of cloud hands, is the whole thing can be expanding. Imagine that you're in a very crowded space. It's a concert. You're at a store or some type of event where there's a lot of people shoulder to shoulder. You can maintain your circle, your space, and move through the crowd, reach at a space between people to guide yourself through something like this, expanding. But we can also use, we have Pong. Lee, we're going to come back to, roll back, because we can do a roll back in cloud hands, but we'll explore it in a second. What's the next one? Is G, shocking power. This kind of, the same thing when we punch, right? So the same, when I turn, I can load up my hand, be in the correct position, shocking power, G, right? Shortwave power. After I've done my avoid, right, is I can avoid, make contact, it can come out fast, right? And so you can practice. We've just talked about 2 different ways. Once I'm here, expand, and then when I turn, Pong, expanding all the way so that power, like a sand hill or earth growing, a mountain expanding, the whole thing going at once. Or just like G, the shock, the hand, this hand, the power coming from my center can go out. What's the other one? Is on. When we do, last week we spent some time just turning these circles. So our whole body is making this wave to push something, like a heavy cart comes towards you. You want to absorb all of its power and send it back out. So we can use cloud hands, the same thing, turning. When we step, like a wave that goes through my body to push on. Before we took a break, I've had almost 9 months between classes, minus the rudimentary whooshing video that's been uploaded earlier. Before that time, though, we were talking about the bagua, the trigrams. And so far we've covered 3 of them for this one. And we've done pong, when we turn. We've done chi. And we've done an, which is a wave going through, like a press, but it's to the side. And then the last one, roll back, applies to the negative space. So in the case that we want to move this way, instead of thinking about expanding power in that direction, we're going to think about drawing power in from the side. It's roll back is an escape, is a defensive movement. We can become very theoretical and figure out how to put a roll back into this side. But for now, we're going to think once the flower comes up, turns to open, when we step forward, feel the vacuum that this space leaves when it disappears from where it was. So when it turns, we're drawing the chi up and through us to create a space, to create a vacuum. This is Li. Is when we're doing Li in the form, after the second ward off, we create this space. TC would say the arms are like hugging. We open to the opponent because we want to create a big space. And in the martial arts, this is target denial. The opponent sees, oh, they're so open, and they go in for it. And when they come in for it, we feel that the energy is moving away so quickly that we can vacuum them in. We can draw them into that negative space. So using cloud hands, let's practice in the form. Cloud hands is only traveling in one direction, but we can go left and right. So if we start and we have hook, and then we have a side whip, handanbian, so that my body, my feet are parallel north and south, but my body, my shoulders, hips, jawline, and arms are going east and west. And then from here, we make a circle. We turn. The palm turns over, breathing out, press to the side. And now the hands switch. Put the right hand underneath for the flower pot. The left hand, flower opens, turns, and here, step and press. So breathing, change the feet. I like to show the weight change. Only pressing, not stepping to the side. Now the palms, yin-yang, turning on their natural circle, opening around the forearm, step and press. Breathe deep, turning, shift and press. So we're actually doing 2 postures. We do a static cloud hands if we're standing still, power, and we do a moving one. We can do those the other way. What's the purpose of the right side one since we're not stepping? What if you're against the wall and you can't turn to use the back for support, and you can't turn to use your back for defense? You're here. We have no place to go, so we raise one side. You can make a type of power without moving. So there is a second sort of hidden, but we don't talk about that too much. Let's practice that again one more time. We can go slower. You can practice at your own pace. For the footwork, it's now you can see the footwork is determined by the power. Many people have questions about the footwork. So if we start in hook and whip, we have hook, single whip, and then here I'm shifting over my left side, shifting to the right, but I'm not stepping. until I get back to this side. This is in the form, by the way. You can practice any way that you want. You can just practice cloud hands all day like this. How many in school, in gym class, had to do these kind of exercises, right? You can practice Tai Chi that freely, but if you like to make it a moving meditation, let's do that. So from the center, we have hook on the right side. Han Dan Bian means side, parallel whip. And then as I shift to the right, my hands start there, grasp the sparrow's tail, circling, wind up, shift to press, and then once that power is gone, my pelvis starts to track along to the other side, and as it reaches the middle, I'm sinking and pushing off for counter X power across the body. And again, the type of Fa-jing, the type of expression of power, will determine how and when you step. So when we change, press, turning, step, press. One more on each side. Turn, open, press, turn, open, press. So when you practice on your own, this is, by the way, to make things very confusing. We can apply, we've just talked about 4 of them, right? We talked about Pong, Li, Ji, and An, the power coming through. Those are 4. We could talk about the other 4. There's Sai, which is hooking power, like when we do this type of movement, Sai, and Zo, which is elbow power, coming in using the elbow here, Cow, and what's the other one? Is Lia, grasping. So you can apply all 8 of those trigrams to any of the set of postures in the form. So when you're doing your, can we do roll back and ward off? That's something for you to find. That's something for you to experiment. Studying these 8 trigrams, by the way, in my research, there's people that have different ideas about them. In fact, using hook and whip, we said we start with hook and we have a side whip. Hook in the trigrams, my teacher would say he leave his rear heel up to show there's some different differentiations. Some teachers putting the foot here. So it's not meant to be confusing, but it's meant to open the mind to the idea that we can have the same posture and have different Fa-jing. What happens in your mind if, by the way, let's talk about one other thing too, the bottom hand. So if I face the camera and I go the other direction, I have here and I press, why does the other hand come under here? Because this is, why doesn't it turn out this way? Doesn't that seem like if we have Xingyi Chuan, right? That's like a 3 treasures type stance, which is actually part of Tai Chi as well. Doesn't that seem more accurate? And TC said you can do it any way you like. But the idea in Tai Chi is we're keeping this type of shape. Bagua has a different type of shape, has this type of coiling. So if we wanted to practice the Tai Chi more like a Bagua, we can turn this other palm out. But keeping this round, when we're doing grasp, the sparrow's tail, ward off, we do see it change. For crane, the palms go out, so you can practice. But TC, when I first started, I thought, oh, it's like Bagua Xingyi, cool, put the palm out. But he said, turn it this way, any way that you like. And by the way, this is very useful if you're carrying something. This particular, you can use it moving forward as well. You have something heavy, right? You have a, maybe this is some printer paper, right? You have something even more heavy. And you can, this is a one-handed, power is coming directly from my camera. I can block, connect, and strike all with the same hand. And remember, my arm is weak. Look how skinny, weak the arm is, but my torso is very strong. So this, making the internal connection from your elbow to your dantian when you turn like this. So if I want to turn my opponent, when I'm here, my arm isn't going to do anything. In this case, it will. But I want to use my center because my center is so powerful, right, compared to my arm. And the bigger the center, the more powerful, but the less quickly it can turn. So that's the Tai Chi compromise. The big body can't turn as quickly, so that's when we use a Bagua to outturn. If you have to face the big opponent, turning prevents them from turning, prevents them from being able to match your speed. So one-handed, you can be carrying something, and this hand should feel very safe. You should be able to have your feel like your space here is going. By the way, for Charlotte, maybe if you typed the question, you had a question earlier. I don't know if I've answered it so far, but if you guys have questions, thoughts, comments, I think we're coming up on a time. It looks like we have maybe about 10 minutes left. So let's practice cloud hands a few times. So starting from hook and whip. By the way, this appears in the second section originally in the form. Stepping to the side. From here, recalibrate. Check your head top, relax your shoulders, sink your tailbone, grip your feet, use your stomach, connect the tongue, half smile, lifting the base of the torso, pulling in all parts to the center but expanding simultaneously, breathing deep, grasp the sparrow's tail, turn right, open the flower, shift right, press right, breathing deep, the hands circle, grasp the sparrow's tail. Protect your face, turn the waist, open the flower. We're shifting to the right foot, pressing and pushing. Breathing deep, hands circling. Protect your face. Turn to the side, open. Palm down, sinking as power goes out. Grasp the sparrow's tail on the other side. Palm up. Step, press, breathe deep, turning. Turn the waist, turn your head, look to the horizon. We don't want to have our vision too far up into the heaven or too low down into the depths. We want to look balanced like the yin and yang. Turn, step, press, breathe deep. And then change. Let's do some going the other way. So if I'm here, the hand comes up, I turn my waist, wrapping, press, and then when I turn to the other side, step and press, breathing. When I say grasp the sparrow's tail, it's just these two half circles that the forearms are making. Turn all the way to the other side, press, turn the waist 180. For your Tai Chi timing, we want everything to be moving simultaneously. Harmonious movement. In water boxing, they have a term, water boxing itself is called Liu Ha Ba Fa, which means 6 harmonies, 8 movements. Tai Chi in the classics has something called the 6 harmonies. My hand and my foot go at the same time. My elbow and my knee go at the same time, and my shoulder and my hip arrive at the same time. So, sorry, we were doing some cloud hands going the other way. So you can think of this. We have a question. Oh, nope, says we have 10 minutes more, something like that. So I do kind of want to wrap this up. I like the idea of doing an hour-long class. I feel like we've been working out some. And my intention is to do a class on the form. So for people that are beginning or people that, like I want to do a series, each video containing perhaps 2 to 4 postures, no repeats, so that when we do cloud hands once, we don't have to repeat it again, and make that as a library for people trying to learn the form. That way we can work on these type of classes, these type of like Fa-jing power. What does it look like? I would still like to be able to take a rag, and now that I have access to one, and use it, how the towel wraps, the same thing. We want our hand to be able to wrap around. So doing this type of movement, we can work on the advanced stuff and still have for people that like to do the form. Okay, so 6 harmonies, by the way. This is, you can practice this when you walk, just when you're walking around the world. Your hand and foot moving at the same time. Knee and elbow, shoulder and hip. These are what they're calling 6 harmonies, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So when you practice, if you have serious practice, or even if you're a beginner and you'd like to improve, when we're doing grasp the sparrow's tail, I can think about even just lining up my knee and my elbow. And then when I step forward, the same thing. If my elbow is out in front, it's round, and my hip and my shoulder lined up. And when I turn the waist, sometimes they may change. I may have an offset going this way, that way. But when you have those 6 parts idealized and harmonized, then you have a correct Tai Chi. So if we don't have questions, let's actually close. We'll do some Qigong to close, just some breathing. And one of the things I want to stress is proper Tai Chi principles. We talk the head, top, the shoulders. One thing that's sort of difficult to get into a daily routine is turning, I'm saying if you don't practice Tai Chi, if you're just working at your desk, is turning at the waist in the center. So we're going to close with this Qigong that I don't know the name of. The Mandarin name is actually very boring. You know, sometimes exercises have names like, you know, calling pearls from heaven, something like this. This one, the Chinese, the Mandarin, is just turning around the center, raising and lowering arms. I may have a copy of the Mandarin. But some students refer to it as sunrise and sunset. And that implies 180 degrees from west to east, east to west, north to south, however you like to envision the turn. But we want to turn the body 180. And my arms, by the way, are just going up to the side, to the top, and back down to the bottom. So if I didn't turn my waist, it would just look like this. Almost like a jumping jack. So let the hands touch at the top. And the same thing, use your whole body. We can really exaggerate this one, but since we're sort of getting back into class and we may have new people watching, we're not going to exaggerate it, but sometimes coming up and sinking. We can also reverse it, sinking as we come up. But for this one, just turning the waist. As a Qigong basic, shift from one foot, turning, keep your feet parallel, protect your knees, don't twist your knees. We can, to protect the knees, we can turn the inside of the hip and even keep the hips locked. So this provides internal massage for your torso. Change directions. Do some going the other way. You can think of balancing them. I haven't counted them. Check to see what kind of expression you have. And then take a deep breath and relax. One of the problems with time in our culture is agreeing upon when is actually now. If you tell your child, go do that right now, they have a very different idea of what now is than you do. And computer people, scientists, technological people have time systems that they agree on. But how long is the moment of now? It's different for everyone. So you be you and take all the time in the now. This class name has the word Zen in it. And it took quite a bit of clicking through Google Meetings randomized thing to get the word Zen in there. But we want to be very Zen right here in the present. Did we change directions? If so, just come to the center on your next one. Breathing deep. As your hands sink, feel as though the energy filling up inside the body. Kind of like when you stand on one end of a inflatable thing and the other end goes up. As your hands go down, feel the head top push up. And you can use your breathing to continue that. Feel that building. Locking the base of the torso. Bring your feet together. Bring your hands together in the center. Trying to find the center of my camera for you. Leave the eyes partially open, partially closed. Connect the tongue. Grip the feet. Lift the base of the torso. Take a deep breath, and then looking inside at your center, take a second to smile to yourself. One long last deep breath, and that's it. Have a great weekend. If you have questions, comments, you can email me, contact me, call me. See you soon.